is the man. He comes and goes on a rainbow. How about it for Michael Snyder, the culture blaster?
Hey, I'm so happy to be here during the passive-aggressive hour. That's right. A couple minutes after we're supposed to be off the air. It gets later and later every week, Mark, but I hang in here.
What, do you have someplace to be? Is that your problem?
I have always had a place to be, and I chose to be here. Dude, tonight is the Beaver Moon, which is the last super moon of the year, so I want to give a shout-out to all my werewolf friends, and I want to remind them, Please, maul responsibly. Anyway, speaking of the Beaver Moon, I have learned that if Matt Gaetz is not confirmed as the Orange Ogre's Attorney General, old Trumpy Dumpty is going to appoint him as National Director of Predatory Practices and Lolita Czar.
I see.
I ask you, where are the Gateskeepers? Where are they?
Where are the Gateskeepers? I'll give you some credit on that.
That's fine. Let's talk movies. This is a weird week. The biggest film to come out this week, in fact, the only major movie to my mind that is getting released into theaters this week is called Red One, and it's an attempt at a new Christmas classic, good luck, hyped up with action and kind of half-assed quips, but populated by some A-list actors and supporting players, and ultimately short on cheer. This had potential. There's a plot to kidnap Santa Claus, by the way.
That's good.
Nick to his friends, short for St. Nicholas, I guess. The bearded one runs a tight ship from a high-tech North Pole, preparing to do that one-night-a-year gig via his souped-up hot rod of a sled, drawn by a team of enormous magical reindeer. And speaking of enormous, his head of security is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Callum Drift, director of ELF, which stands for Enforcement, Logistics, and Fortification.
Ah, very clever.
By the way, Santa himself is in great shape for a guy who is centuries old, as played by J.K. Simmons.
Oh, so it's not anymore the big fat dude who's just an old man who can barely make it into the sleigh.
No, Jolly St. Nick is jacked, man.
I see. Wow.
He's yoked. He's buff. We see him working out in the North Pole's gym doing weight training.
Wow.
I mean, his annual globe-trotting task is monumental. So
no wonder he has to stay in big shape.
Yeah, there's no belly like a bowl full of jelly, is all I'm saying. But of course, the plot thickens as the Christmas witch, played by Kiernan Shipka of Sabrina the Teenage Witch fame, inspired casting or just lazy casting, I ask you. She sends her minions to kidnap Santa to have her own way with Christmas, and this brings hacker and bounty hunter Jack O'Malley, played by Chris Evans, straight from Deadpool and Wolverine, onto the scene, recruited by Lucy Liu's Zoe character. She's in charge of the good guy special forces, and they bring this guy in to help save Nick and Christmas. I was a little flummoxed at how mediocre this was, despite the ear-rattling sound and CGI animated fury, since it was directed by Jake Kasdan, Lawrence Kasdan's kid, the great screenwriter. And Jake's previous output has included some seriously fun stuff like the two Jumanji remakes, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, Orange County, Bad Teacher with the wonderful Hugh Jackman, very funny film. But this is not up to those entertaining projects. And I do need to let you know that I saw this, unbeknownst to me. I walk into the screening at what is a 4DX theater. Now, I don't know what the hell this is. So I sit down in my seat, and the seat is sort of like a seat on an airplane or a seat on one of those immersive Disneyland rides. And in fact, the seats and everything around them are connected digitally to what's going on screen. So when Santa flies, your chair starts jerking around.
Wow.
When The Rock punches a troll in the mouth, the whole thing shakes. When you are zooming on a sled through the snow, there's kind of misting in your face and air puffs blown in your face. Now, I'm thinking, while this is going on, this is kind of dangerous for maybe the elderly. So I was a little confused about this. And afterwards, I said to the guy to my right, dude, I had no idea this was going to be, a Disneyland e-ticket. And he said, I saw Deadpool and Wolverine here a couple weeks ago, and I was sore for 2 days. I mean, the seats rattle and shake. So I'm thinking I kind of maybe liked it a little more because of the experiential aspects of it. But Red One it is mediocre. It is in theaters, and I think it'll divert the kids on streaming at home. Yeah, I mean, it has some moments. There's too much talent here to not have some moments of
people are
joy.
saying in the chat that they love The Rock in certain kind of comedic roles, sort of as a, I don't know what he's doing in this case.
Well, there's some whimsy here. By
Yeah.
the way, speaking of comedy, the great Second City alumnus and, sitcom regular Bonnie Hunt plays Mrs. Claus. And it's sort of a thankless job. And, I just wish it had been better. You got Nick Kroll. You got a few other talented people involved.
Haven't seen Bonnie Hunt in a long time. Good to see her out there.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, let's talk about a movie that is
let's move on, Michael,
really,
please.
really good. Saying a movie is truly original seems like almost an impossibility after a century of cinema. And even though it recalls previous films in bits and pieces, I don't think there's ever been a cross between crime drama, personal journey, and musical, quite like EMILIA, PEREZ. The fact that it's the work of the mature and accomplished French screenwriter and director Jacques Audiard was a tip-off that this would be challenging, but it is much more audacious. And that's right, Audiard has made something audacious and really potent here. It's almost operatic in its transmutation of dialogue into song. It's thoroughly topical in its treatment of gender issues. EMILIA, PEREZ is a showcase, largely in Spanish, with subtitles, for Carla Sofia Gascon, the trans actress playing the title role. And in fact, she shared Best Actress at this year's Cannes Film Festival for her portrayal of rough Mexican crime lord Manitas Del Monte, turned trans woman and activist for the disappeared under the name EMILIA, PEREZ, fighting to uncover the fates of so many who fell victim to cartel violence, and that violence that surely stained Manitas when he was running his business. So it's almost like a make-good after the fact. As it happens, the actresses with whom Gascon shared the award were the other three significant women in the movie: Zoe Saldana as undervalued Mexican lawyer Rita Moro Castro, who finds purpose in a new life when she's pressed into working for Manitas. And by the way, Zoe Saldana speaks pretty fluent Spanish.
I guess she gets in the Spanish movie.
Yeah, with no problem. Selena Gomez, who also speaks Spanish, albeit I think probably with an American accent, as the mobster's wife, Jessie, who I think is ostensibly an American-born woman that marries him. And she knows nothing of his desire to become a woman. And Adriana Paz as Epifania, a widow who gets involved with EMILIA. Plus, you get Venezuelan heartthrob Edgar Ramirez in a significant supporting role. I want to call the movie ballsy, despite the word suggesting a double entendre and the gender issues here. Audiard has made some fantastic and daring movies over the course of his career, including award winners like A Prophet, Rust and Bone was really cool, The Beat That My Heart Skipped, and Read My Lips. But to be honest, this is thoroughly original. And even if the music didn't stick with me, it functioned in the context of the story, and the stunning performances and the bold takes on identity, reinvention, and redemption won me over. EMILIA, PEREZ, by the way, on Netflix. It had a short theatrical run, and it just dropped yesterday on Netflix.
I love it. I can watch it while pausing it occasionally to go to the kitchen.
I think that might be the way to handle this thing.
EMILIA, PEREZ.
I really thought it was good.
He likes it. All right. What else do you have,
so
Michael?
little is really good
I know.
days.
You really, sometimes you come in here and you've got nothing for us. And today you've got a meh and you've got a real recommendation so far.
Back to the meh. Okay. Piper is a silly, flimsily constructed horror movie. We have it's the horror movie of the week club here, isn't it?
Yeah, you like your horror.
Well, I mean, no, they keep cranking them out.
Oh,
so this is about the legend of the Pied Piper, who apparently is still bedeviling the citizens of Hamelin, Germany, where a mother, played by Elizabeth Hurley, that's right, Elizabeth Hurley, and her daughter, played by Mia Jenkins, have moved from the United States for unpleasant reasons that are eventually revealed to no one's great shock. Well, I mean, certainly not to my great shock. Anyway, after all these centuries, the Piper, or his spirit, continues to have a hard-on for cheats and miscreants and will punish the guilty who have avoided justice by taking away their children. So has Elizabeth Hurley's character done something bad? What do you think? Take a little guess. Come on, take a guess. There are spanners in the works, and there are CGI rats and
I
bugs.
like that she's done something bad. I find her more attractive because she's a bad girl.
She's a bad girl. So you got the CGI rats and bugs, ooh, scary, but some less than sterling performances and kind of a mishmash of Piper mythology with vague and ridiculous rules, all undermining this rather dull exercise in what we can confidently call low-budget horror. If the filmmakers had any franchise aspirations, guys, you better reconsider them. Piper is streaming, and I wasn't impressed.
No, you sound like you don't like it. What else do you have for us?
All right, I do have something that I think will really resonate with you, Mark, because it did with me. It's called The World According to Allie Willis.
One of my dear friends who passed away a few years ago. It
is a documentary, and informative and lovely and whimsical, and let's clear up a few misconceptions, or maybe elucidate a little bit. Allie Willis was a songwriter and artist, and she was remarkable, and you'll know her work. She wrote September for Earth, Wind, and Fire. She also wrote the theme, or co-wrote the theme from Friends, I'll Be There for You. She won a Tony for her work on the music in The Color Purple. She was also a really fantastic creative artist who did a lot of collage work and had dreams and big ideas. And when computers were first flowering, she got on board the creative train. She wanted to create a digital village. She was way ahead of her time on a lot of things. And she was also a very colorful individual. She wore really outlandishly bright clothes. Her home in the Valley was apparently kind of a wonderland of its own.
And she was the party house for a while. She'd have the party there it was considered like, one of the tough tickets to get, to be invited to one of the Allie Willis's parties.
And she dated men and had relationships with men, but she was a lesbian. She finally came out to that, and she found the love of her life. All of this is in this wonderful documentary, and the coolest thing is that she began documenting her life on video and film in the 1950s in Detroit while she was growing up, and she continued doing this. So the archival footage is amazing, and a lot of her friends are here on camera talking about her, including, sadly, the late Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, to many people, and Pamela Adlon, Bruce Valance, Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo. God, so many interesting people. Mark Cuban was an early ally of hers, and he's on camera here, and I think he helped finance the making and release of this documentary. Cyndi Lauper, Lily Tomlin, and Michael Patrick King, the guy who created Sex and the City. Patti LaBelle, for whom she, I think, had her first big hit. It is really filled with music, filled with love, filled with comedic moments, and her ongoing struggle for fame, acceptance, and she clearly was a driven woman and a wonderful person. And I met her on a couple of occasions. And oddly enough, she and I had one thing in common, other than us both knowing you, Mark, and that is that we both collaborated on songs with Maurice White of Earth, Wind, and Fire. We don't talk about this much, but I actually co-wrote a song with the guy back in the day.
Oh, wow.
I always thought that was crazy, and she thought that was hilarious, that out of nowhere, there's this guy who's your buddy who also happened to have that weird relationship with this massive creative pop music singer and composer.
Jim says, I recall Mark had her on KGO shortly before she passed. Very interesting and talented lady. It's true. She did come on the air with us, and she started, I was so flattered because she said, only for you would I do this. I'm in the middle of session and I stepped out so I can be on your show. She did about 20 minutes with us on KGO. She also wrote Boogie Wonderland.
Yes.
She wrote Neutron Dance for the Pointer Sisters.
Absolutely.
She wrote Lead Me On for Maxine Nightingale. I mean, I'm telling you, and that's just a bit of what I can remember. She was brilliant.
Was integral to one of my favorite Pet Shop Boys, What Have I Done to Deserve This? I think she did production on it, or just like fed ideas into what they were eventually going to record with the great Dusty Springfield. This is directed by Alexis Sprayek, and I thought it was wonderful and a little heartbreaking because having met her and spent a little time with her. One more quick note. She was a collector of kitsch. And I remember one night I went to a gallery on Melrose, and it was the Allie Willis Kitsch collection, and she was holding court, and it was amazing and weird and cool. I feel very grateful that I spent a little time with her and got to know her.
Yeah, when she takes you through the kitsch collection in her house, it was like one of the great experiences. She took me through all of these different things, all this kitsch memorabilia. God, it was just magnificent. And she is so funny. She did a one-woman show, and I won't dwell on it any longer except to say I just adored Allie Willis, and it's still, in my heart hurts every time I think of her not being on this planet anymore, because her sensibility and her art does endure, which is what I suppose is the thing I can hang on to.
That is a major theme in the documentary. I do recommend people seek it out. And in fact, I would also suggest that even though you can see it in theaters right now, there will be streaming availability on November 22nd.
Oh, cool. Great.
So there's that. If you
We're going to see it in the theater next week, actually. So.
Well, lovely. I appreciate it. Quickly, let's talk a bit about one of my favorite TV programs of the past year. I have been like addicted to Rivals, which is a British production. It was made and financed by Disney Plus, and it's appearing and available on Hulu in the States. And Rivals is about it's set in 1980s England, and specifically, it's set in an area called the Cotswolds, in a very well-to-do, albeit fictional county, Rutshire, and it's all about the conflict between the lord of the area, a guy named Tony Battingham, and he has become a lord because he is a self-made man and got richer and richer. And so real aristocrats look down on him, and he, of course, hates the real aristocrats. So there's this tension between him as he has built this independent commercial television station called Corinium. In the 80s, the British government loosened the restrictions on, the ability to launch TV stations and production houses, because the BBC was always Mother Beeb, always in control of everything. And so that's why we saw the rise of, ITV, Channel 4, and all these other independent stations. And this is a station called Corinium, and he's in charge of it. And it's located in this part of Southwest England, because regional production was also loosened by the British government. And he's trying to get his franchise solid, and he has to kind of woo all these powerful people. And in the meantime, there is a local aristocrat, an old money guy, a member of parliament named Rupert Campbell Black, and he has become the director of sport for Margaret Thatcher's England. And he, in fact, is an Olympic show jumping champion, and also a real swain. So this thing is filled with all kinds of sex and intrigue. David Tennant plays Lord Battingham, a guy I love. It's based on a 1988 novel by Dame Jilly Cooper. And all I can tell you is, dude, it's funny, it's steamy, it's addictive. They hire this Irish newsman away from the BBC, and it turns out that he has a bone to pick with Lord Tony. There's all these rich people bickering and trying to one-up one another. Great characters and characterizations and complications. I was getting a real Succession meets the Real Housewives of Rutshire vibe off of this. And with all the bed hopping and general adultery, I was thinking it'd fit nicely on Hallmark Channel after dark, if that was a thing.
Where can I see it?
It's on Hulu, and it's called Rivals, and it is totally funny, steamy, and addictive.
So it says Disney Plus on the poster, but it's actually Hulu?
Well, it's part of the Disney bundle.
Who can follow it?
It's a Disney bundle. It's on Hulu in the States. I think that's their primary location for Rivals. And again, if you like David Tennant, he's, Royal Shakespeare Company, he was Doctor Who. He was in so many wonderful shows.
Sure, he's terrific. And he's got such great range, too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Rivals is the insanely addictive TV series you can find now on Hulu. Michael likes it. He also likes The World According to Allie Willis. Likes might understate it. He loved the movie. He loves everything about Allie Willis. We are partial to Allie Willis because we see the brilliance, the genius of Allie Willis. And who said this? If Allie Willis doesn't get an Oscar, I will sell my house, says Stepping Stone Media Group.
She was iconoclastic, but she was also so earthy and straight up and no nonsense. She spoke her mind.
Yeah, it's a miss her every day. It's funny, if you look at the early shows that we did in the first year that we were on the air here, there was a bag behind us, a tote bag. It was a Mark Thompson Show tote bag, and in that bag was a paddle. You couldn't tell it was a paddle because it was in the bag, but the outside of the paddle was Allie's face. And I had her here on our set, and it show after show for the whole first year of the show. If you go back, you can see it. That's what that is. A couple of people asked, "Who is that?" or "What is that?" And it was Allie Willis's face there. Anyway, The World According to Allie Willis. He loves. It will be. It's in theaters now. You hunt it down, but it will also be streaming. He says on the 22nd, I believe.
Yes, November 22nd, which is my birthday, by the way. Happy birthday!
I did not know that. Wow, and that is
Kennedy's death day was my birthday. I don't want to even go into detail beyond that.
I would love to plan some kind of celebration
for
your
would.
birthday.
Oh, no. I know what you can do for my birthday.
Start
before 1 p.m. when we do our next. That's your birthday gift to me. I know.
I don't see that happening.
Okay, fine.
So I'm sorry. We do.
No.
Right,
Exactly.
Whatever.
Meantime, he liked Piper. Oh, no, wait. He hated Piper.
I didn't hate it. I was just like, geez.
Piper
really?
is the Pied Piper legend turned to horror with Elizabeth Hurley. He says, if you miss it, you haven't really missed much.
Right.
EMILIA PEREZ, or PEREZ, because the accent is on the first syllable.
CC.
Thoroughly original, topical, a showcase for Carla Sofia Gascon, for Zoe Saldana, Selena Gomez, Adriana Paz, stunning performances by all. Michael says this might be the best offering by this director, who has a pretty impressive list of offerings prior to this.
No, I just think it's up to his standards. Let's call it that. It is it's the best film I've reviewed this week. It's right now.
It's his pick.
Yeah, it's a good film.
It's in theaters, or it's
no,
also,
it's on Netflix.
Oh, it's Netflix. That's
it was
right.
in theaters for a week or two, but yes, you can see it on Netflix.
That's EMILIA PEREZ.
See.
Red One was what he started this review bunch with. It's the plot to kidnap Santa. It's the latest offering that fits into the holiday world of offerings. Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans, Lucy Liu, J.K. Simmons. What could go wrong with a group like that? Apparently enough to make it only a... there were a couple of cute moments, but you wouldn't run out to see Red One.
Yeah, and you may get hurt if you see it in a 4DX theater.
That's right. Michael took the whole sensory experience. So, right. Michael, what can we say? We've covered so much.
We've covered so much. I do want to point out that my latest column for thevoicesf.org, The Voice of San Francisco, is all about two movies with very, very strong women facing crises. Those movies, TV programs, and those are, pretty worthwhile to check out. One of which is the second season of The Diplomat, and the other is,
one of the other ones. Vicky in Sausalito says, none of these movies that Michael's mentioned appeal to me.
Well, then don't go see them.
Mars says, ooh, Dwayne Johnson, auto nope. Wow, very, very tough. I'm an auto yes on Dwayne Johnson. How about that? Find Michael Snyder at thevoicesf.org. Find him here on Fridays. He comes and goes on a rainbow. The Culture Blaster, Michael Snyder.
Go Dubs, go Niners.
Go Dubs, go Niners.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell, you'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.